This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, folks. So in today's session, we will see some different scenarios that you might often have to deal with once you start working on the projects. So I'll first connect to Hive. So right click anywhere on the desktop, say open in terminal, maximize it, click on view and click on zoom in twice. Launch Hive by typing Hive, hit enter. So the Hive shell has been launched. 1 minute. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. So I'm back. Yeah, so let's try to create a new database for today's session, and then we'll start using the same. Show databases is something that we can use to see the list of all the databases. So I don't have any databases apart from default database. Let's create a new database. So create database. If not exists, let's say Hive underscore scenarios. Then say show databases to see the list of all the databases. So we have this database called as Hive underscore scenarios created. So let us switch to that. Use space Hive underscore scenarios. Then say show tables. Right, so I don't have any tables. So then I'll start creating the tables here. But before that, let me try to explain the scenario that you might often see in the projects. So generally in the projects, you will get the data from a team called as data source team. So generally you get the data in the projects from a team called as data source team. So data source team, as the name suggests, they are responsible to send the data to your team so that you can start processing your data. But there is one problem here. The problem is data source team. So this is the situation that you might often encounter in the projects. Data source team is saying that okay, data source team can send the data only in text file format, but we want the data in ORC file format, because ORC file format is good in performance, or basically good in performance with respect to reporting purpose compared with text file format. So because of this advantage, and we wanted to use ORC file format instead of text file format, but they are not willing to send the data in ORC file format. They are saying that they can send the data only in the text file format, and they are also saying that data source team can send the data in ORC file format, but after 3 months. And unfortunately, we can't wait for 3 months because that will impact the project deliverables. Hence, we want the data to be coming at ORC file format at any cost. So by the way, what is ORC? ORC stands for optimized row columnar file format. So that is a full form. So remember this, ORC file format is the best file format to work with Hive. So two interview questions here. First question is, what's the default file format that is used by Hive? The answer is text file format. And also another interview question is, what's the best file format? What's the best file format to be used with Hive? Again, the answer is ORC file format. As the ORC file format is the best file format to work with Hive, we want the data to be coming in the ORC file format because ORC is better than text file format in terms of performance and then reporting, etc. But unfortunately, we are not getting the data in ORC file format. They are sending it only in the text file format. So how to deal with this scenario? And this is the typical scenario that you have to face once you start working the projects. So now we are clear with the problem. Let's talk about the solution approach as well. So to solve this problem, we are going to follow totally 4 steps. So the first step is create a staging table such as orders underscore stage. So by the way, we are going to use orders data for this scenario. Hence, I'm giving the table name as orders underscore stage. So create a staging table such as orders underscore stage in text file format. And then what next? Load the data into the staging table. Load the data into the staging table such as orders underscore stage. Then the third step is create the actual table such as orders underscore ORC in ORC file format. And then the fourth step is insert the data from the staging table into the actual table. What is the staging table? Orders underscore stage. What is the actual table? Orders underscore ORC. So these are the 4 steps that we're going to follow to solve this problem. So let's focus on step 1 now. So I'll go back. I'll set the title terminal, set title, give it as Hive, click on OK. And then I will go to my desktop here, create document, empty file, Hive underscore scenarios. And let's open one more terminal set title. Let's say I want to use this for HDFS or Linux commands. Click on view and zoom in twice and go to the downloads folder. I'm in this path, home Cloudera downloads. Within that, I have a file called as orders.txt. Let us check the contents of this file. So this is the data that I'm going to use to create my table. So let's start creating the tables. I'll take the sample record, select it, right click, copy, and then paste it here. So here the first column is order ID, second column is order date, third column is order customer ID, fourth column is order status. So now based on this, we'll start creating our staging table first. So that is our first step. Step one is to create a staging table such as orders underscore stage in text file format. So let's do that. So create table name is orders underscore stage. Then start giving your column names. First column is order ID, second column is order date, which is of timestamp type, third column is order customer ID, which is of integer type, fourth column is order status, which is of string type. Then you can say row format delimited fields terminated by comma. Let's copy this and go to the Hive terminal, right click and paste it. Enter. Say show tables. I can see this table called as orders underscore stage, but we have to create this table in the text file format, right? And also, what have we learned? The default file format that is used by Hive is nothing but text file format. That is, whether you mention it as text file format or not, it will automatically create this table in the text file format. To confirm that, you can say describe formatted orders underscore stage. Now, have a look here. Input format is showing us text input format. Output format is also showing us text output format. So that's how I can confirm that whether you mention it or not, automatically the default file format that is used by Hive is nothing but the text file format. So we are good with step one, where we have created the staging table called as orders underscore stage in the text file format. This is done. Moving on to the next step, load the data into the staging table such as orders underscore ORC. Sorry, orders underscore stage. So where is my actual data? My actual data is available under home Cloudera downloads, and the file name is orders.txt. So let us use load command to load the data into this staging table. Load data local in path. In the single quotes, mention your full path of your file. Under home Cloudera downloads, copy that path and paste it here. The file name is orders.txt. Mention that. And then you can mention your table name into table. What's the table name? Table name is orders underscore stage. Let's copy this. Go to the Hive terminal, right click and paste it. Enter. So this should have loaded the data into the staging table. To confirm that, you can say select star from orders underscore stage limit 10 so that you can see top 10 records. So we are good here. You can see I'm able to query the top 10 records. So step 2 is also done, right? Now let's focus on step 3, where you try to create your actual table such as orders_ORC in the ORC file format. Because ORC is the best file format to work with Hive, and hence we wanted to create a table in that file format. ORC stands for Optimized Row Columnar File Format. So let's do that. So I wanted to create a table in the ORC file format now. So just copy this query and then paste it here. Table name, I would like to change it to orders_ORC, and everything remains same except that I'm going to mention stored as ORC. That's it. So this should take care about creating this table in the ORC file format. To confirm, copy this and go to the Hive terminal, right click and paste it. Enter. Show tables. You should have the table called as orders_ORC created. Describe the table. Describe formatted orders_ORC. Now have a look here. Input format is showing as ORC input format, on output format is showing as ORC output format. Right now we are done with step 3, where we have created the actual table such as orders_ORC in the ORC file format. So this is also done. Now focus on step 4, where insert the data from the staging table into the actual table. That is inserting the data from orders_staging table into the orders_ORC table. Right? Let's do that. So build the query for the same. Insert into table. What's the table name? Orders_ORC. From which table? From select star from orders_stage. Let's try this. Copy this, go to the Hive terminal, I click and paste it. So this will start running a MapReduce job. We are trying to insert the data into orders_ORC table from orders_staging table. Let's wait for some time. So this should have automatically load the data into orders_ORC table from orders_staging table. To confirm, you can say select star from orders_ORC, limit 10. Now you can see the top 10 records. So that's how we are able to load the data from the staging table into the actual table, which is nothing but orders_ORC. So this is a very common scenario that you have to deal with once you start working on the projects. So even in the interviews, you can explain this as one of the scenario. Right?
I'm sorry, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. I have a
Mhm.
question. Sir, where I can download this software?
Yes. So do one thing. You can ping me after the session. Or do one thing in the WhatsApp group. Put your email ID. I'll give you the access.
Okay, all right. Thank
Okay.
you so
I'll
much.
get back to you over there.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So now I wanted to talk a little bit about the file formats that we have got. So generally in the big data world, okay, let's talk a little bit about the file formats. So one thing is very clear, to work with Hive, the best file format is nothing but ORC, right? So, but before that, let's try to take a deep dive session on the file formats. So what is the importance of file formats? So what is the importance of file formats in the big data world? Or what is the importance of file formats in data engineering? So the three goals behind this is nothing but we basically wanted to save the storage capacity that is required, right? And also we wanted to do fast data processing. We wanted to do fast process the data faster, and then we basically wanted to less the time for our IO operations, that is input output operations. So these are the three main goals behind understanding the file formats. So what are the different questions that you should ask before selecting the appropriate file format? So I would say choices for file formats. Choices for file formats. So what are the different questions that you should ask before selecting a file format? So you should select a file format, especially depending on the operation. So especially if you may want to select a file format which will give you faster reads or faster writes. And then you may have to select a file format which will give you advanced compression. So basically saving the same data with compressed form so that you can save your disk space that is required, right? So these are the three things that we can consider, especially if you wanted to choose an appropriate file format. So there are two types of file formats that we have got. We have row based and column based. Row based file formats, and then we have column based file formats. So what are row based file formats? So we'll talk about row based file formats for now. Row based file formats. So the row based file formats are actually preferred for faster writes. If a requirement is to write the data faster, then go with the row based file formats, because internally the way the data gets stored is something like this. So let's say that I have an employee table, or let's say that I have a student table. Let's say that I have student table, and student table contains different records, sorry, different columns. Student ID is one column and student name is another column, right? And let's say student section in the other column, because in a given class sometimes I see that there are a lot of sections, right? So imagine that these are the three columns that we have got. Or let's say you have student age, so total 4 columns. So I'll take some sample records. I'm just taking some random names. Let's say student name is Sam, and Sam belongs to section A. Let's say the age is 10. And next we have next student Ram, section B, age is 11. Next student, let's say, I'm just going with some random names, and section C, age is 12, something like this, right? So now the way the data gets stored in the row-based format is something like this. So this is your actual data, and the way the data gets stored internally, if it is the row-based format, is something like this. It gets stored in the record by fashion. So this is one record. This is the next record, and then this is the third record. So if it is a row-based file format, the way the data gets stored in your HDFS or in your hard disk is in row by row fashion. So now why did I say that it is preferred for faster writes? Because writing the data in row-based file formats is pretty much easy, because all we have to do is to just append the data to the end, right? But whereas with respect to these row-based file formats, the reads are very slow. Now why the reads are very slow? What is the reason behind it? Suppose let's say that we wanted to read the subset of the records or subset of the columns. Let's say I just wanted to read only the student ID and student name. In that case, it will have to do a lot of disk accesses, as it have to go through the entire data, which will actually degrade the performance, because we cannot skip any columns. If there are totally 100 columns, and if you want only 5 columns, even though we need 5 columns, we will have to read all the 100 columns. That is a problem with respect to the row-based file formats, especially with respect to the read operation, right? And also there is one more thing with respect to the row-based file formats. Because there is a mix of the data types. Here you can see that student ID is of integer type, student name is of string type, and so on. Because there is a mix of the data types of the column stored row by row. So even though the compression happens, it won't give you the desired results. So the point which I want to make clear here is 3 important points with respect to the row-based file format. So it is faster. It will provide you faster read, faster writes, because the data is stored in the form of this way. If you wanted to add a new record, all you have to do is to just add the next record here. And reads are very slow in the row-based format, because you can see if there are 100 columns in your data and you just want only 5 columns, even though you just need only 5 columns, there is no direct way to access only those 5 columns. You still have to read through the entire data to get those 5 columns, right? So what about the column based file formats now? So column based file formats is exactly reverse. So as the name suggests, column based file formats, the data is stored in the columnar fashion. In the column based file format, this is actually preferred for the faster reads. Faster reads and writes are very slow. So how is the data stored in the columnar file format? The data is stored column wise. So here the data is stored row wise in the row based file formats. But whereas coming to the column based file formats, the data is stored column wise. Now when I say column wise, it is something like this. All the student IDs are stored together. All the student names are stored together. All the student sections are stored together. All the student ages are stored together. So basically in the columnar file formats, right? So you have the data type, you have the elements of same data type stored together, right? Because you can see all these are integers, all these are strings, all these are strings again, all these are like integers. So basically in the columnar based file formats, as the same data types of the columns are stored together, the compression will give you the desired results. And also it is fast, especially with respect to the read operation, because let's say out of 100 columns you want only 5 columns, then it doesn't need to scan through the entire data. It can just get you only the desired columns. That is, suppose I want only student ID column and student name column from this, it can skip reading the student section data because it doesn't need to, right? It can just go ahead and get only the IDs and only the names, right? So you can skip reading your data if it is a columnar file format. Hence, if you want to go with the faster reads, then the preferred file format is nothing but the columnar file format. Right? I hope we are clear. So example for the row-based file formats is nothing but the text file format. An example for the columnar file format is nothing but the ORC file format. Right? Now you can explain this scenario better. Right? So now we understood the importance of file format. What are the different questions or what are the different choices that you have to basically make to choose a respective file format, and what are the different types of file formats, and you know when to prefer which file format. You are also aware of how the data is stored in the respective file format. Also you are aware of the examples, right? So this should be enough with respect to the file formats. So probably maybe whenever the time comes, I'll talk in detail about the each of the file formats such as ORC, Parquet, Avro. So we have other file formats. Maybe whenever the time comes, I'll talk about them in depth. But for now, this should be enough. Okay. Now, let me talk about the different ways of connecting to Hive. There are 3 different ways of connecting to Hive. 3 different ways of connecting to Hive. So the first way is called as Hive UI. What is Hive UI? Hive stands for Hadoop User Experience. UI basically stands for user interface. And the second one is Hive CLI. You are already aware of it. Third one is Beeline. So these are the 3 different ways of connecting to Hive. First, let's talk about the first one, Hive. Hive stands for Hadoop User Experience. So let's go back to the Cloudera Quick Start VM. So here you can see a browser symbol. So if you can click on this browser symbol, you should be able to you should be able to launch your browser. Let's click on that. So click on navigation, Hive UI, and then enter the email address, enter the username and password. Username is Cloudera, password is also Cloudera. Click on sign in. So now we are trying to connect to the Hive UI, Hadoop User Experience. So then go to the respective UI. So click here, editor, then Hive. On the left hand side, you can see the list of all the databases that we have got. So right now we have two databases. One is the default database and Hive Scenarios database. So let us click on this Hive Scenarios database. You can see that there are two tables within that. And if you can click on one of the table, let's click on orders underscore stage. You should be able to figure out the list of all the columns and their respective data types. And then here in the editor in the middle, you can start running your Hive queries. Let's say show databases. So one good thing with respect to the Hive is it will automatically fill up the things for you. If you can see, if I say show data, it will automatically give you suggestions, right? Then click on this play button. It will start executing your queries. Scroll down. Now you can see that these are the list of all the databases that we have got. Then you can switch to the database by saying use space Hive underscore scenarios. Click on this play button again. Scroll down. Now you are connected to the Hive underscore scenarios. Now you can start seeing the list of all the tables by saying show tables to see the list of all the tables. Right now you can see that there are totally two tables. So again, you can see that it will give you a lot of suggestions. It will make your life easy, right? So select star from orders underscore stage. Let's say limit 10. Have a look here. We are able to see the top 10 records. So that's how you can use Hive. But again, as a developer, we won't be using this much. So this could be mostly used by the business analysts or your managers, right? But as a developer, we will use this very limited. So that's all you need to know with respect to Hive. So we are already aware of Hive CLI, but one thing which I would like to highlight with respect to Hive CLI is, so if I can use Control D, I'll be disconnecting from Hive CLI, right? So let's try to connect to it again. So if you notice one thing, when you try to launch Hive, it will give you a suggestion saying it's preferred to use Beeline. You can see here, warning, Hive CLI is deprecated and migration to Beeline is recommended, right? So also another thing which I would like to show here is show databases. Use Hive underscore scenarios, show tables. Now let us see the data in orders underscore stage. Select star from orders underscore stage, limit 10. So I can see the data but not the column names. Now I wanted to see the column names as well. So how to see the column names? To see the column names, you have to set a property here. So let's go back to the normal Linux terminal. So now I wanted to basically get the property that I can use to see the column names. So Hive space -e set, then try to grep for header. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to run Hive queries on Linux terminal. So this is what I want. I want this hive.cli.print.header. I'll copy this. Go to the Hive terminal. Set space, that particular property name. So it's showing us false. I'll change it to true. Now the property is showing us true. Now I can start seeing the top 10 records. So select star from orders underscore stage, limit 10. I can see the top 10 records along with the column names. So even though I can see the column names, but it's not so neat and clean, right? So the point which I want to convey here is, so it is preferred to use Beeline, because in Beeline you don't need to set this property and it will show the output also in a nice formatted way. So I will open one more terminal to connect to Beeline. Click on view and zoom in. Terminal, set title, give it as Beeline. So let's connect to Beeline. Beeline space -u. And then now I wanted to connect to Beeline by using this command. JDBC, which stands for Java Database Connectivity, Hive 2 : //. So this is how we are going to connect to the Beeline. Again, on Beeline, you can run the same commands that you have been using on your Hive CLI. Show databases. I can see that these are the list of all the databases that I've got, and I can switch to a database, use space Hive_scenarios, show tables. Then I can see the top 10 records in staging table, orders_stage. That's a limit 10. Now this is a lot better. I can little bit zoom out. Let's run it again. Now you can see the top 10 records along with the headers, along with the column names, right? Not only that, you can even describe your table, describe formatted, orders_stage. This looks neat and clean, right? So this is the reason why people prefer to go with Beeline over Hive CLI. So to disconnect from Hive CLI, we were using Control D, right? Now to disconnect from Beeline, you have to use question mark, not question mark, sorry, exclamation symbol, and then Q, enter. You are back to your normal Linux terminal. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's try to basically create a simple script, and then we'll start running that script. So I'm in home Cloudera path. Here I'm going to create a very simple script in Hive. Let's say my Hive script.html. Again, this HQL is optional, but it's a good practice. HQL stands for High Query Language. All the Hive scripts will end with .html. Enter. So I'm in V editor now, so I'm going to create a very simple script, show databases, and let's say use Hive_scenarios. Let's say select star from orders_stage, limit 10. So I've created this simple script in Hive, and I can see the contents as well, right? Now let's actually try to run this script. So what's the full path of the script? Home Cloudera, and the script name is myHiveScript.html. Let's start running the script from Hive CLI. So to run this script from your Hive CLI, you have to say source space the full path of your script. Home Cloudera, the script name is myHiveScript.html. So mention the full path, home Cloudera, and then give the path. So you can see that it's running the script for you. Now you can see the database names here. It's trying to connect to the Hive Scenarios database, and we can see the top 10 records, right? So let's connect to Beeline. We will try to run the script from Beeline now. Again, same approach. To run the script within Beeline, you have to use source space full path of your script. That is, under home Cloudera, we have the script with the name called as myHiveScript.html. Now have a look here. We're able to see the list of all the databases. It's connecting to Hive underscore scenarios database, and then we can see the top 10 records, right? And also you can try to run this script from your normal Linux terminal also. So I'm back to my normal Linux terminal. To run this script, you have to say hive space -f and then the full path of your script, that is under home Cloudera. We have the script with the name called as myhivescript.html. Let's give that script name. I'm trying to run this Hive script from the normal Linux terminal by using Hive CLI. So now have a look here. So the first step is trying to connect to Hive. Then it's trying to give us a list of all the databases. It's connecting to Hive Scenarios database, and then it is displaying top 10 records from orders underscore staging table. And then finally, it's closing the connection to the Hive CLI, and it's back to the normal Linux terminal. And let's go back here. Let's disconnect from beeline, exclamation symbol Q. Then here I am going to say -f. Again, you have to mention the full path home Cloudera. Script name is myhivescript.html. So first it will try to connect to beeline. It's trying to connect to beeline now. So one advantage that you see here is when you're trying to run this beeline script from beeline or by using beeline on normal Linux terminal, you can clearly see what is being executed here. You can see that it is trying to run show databases, then it is trying to run Hive scenarios, then it is trying to display top 10 records. That flexibility is not there when you go with the Hive CLI way of executing the script. It is just giving you the results directly, but not sure what is being executed internally. But here, if you follow beeline or if you use beeline, you can clearly see what is being currently executed internally as well. Right? You can see first it is trying to display the list of all the databases by saying show databases. Then it's trying to connect to the beeline. It's trying to connect to the Hive scenarios database. Then it's displaying the top 10 records from orders underscore staging table. And then finally, it's closing the connection to beeline, and you're back to a normal Linux terminal. So that's all you need to know with respect to the Hive CLI and then beeline. So what is CLI? I hope you guys are already aware of it. Command line interface. This is also called as Hive shell or Hive terminal, right? So these are the three different ways of connecting to Hive. Okay, guys, I think we are good for today. Let's meet tomorrow. See you. Bye-bye.